Hi there, it's Alex here. Doctor Who has finally returned with a brand new season, brand new streaming home over here in the States, and most importantly, a brand new doctor.
I'm the doctor.
If you couldn't tell, yes, I am a huge fan of Doctor Who. And with the new season here, I wanted to sit down with you guys and finally talk about the 60th anniversary and give you my thoughts. But before we do so, I just want to take it back just a little bit. Surprise, I actually am going to include the power of the Doctor because I truly do believe that despite airing just a little over a year before the actual 60th anniversary date, this in my opinion makes more of an actual 60th anniversary special than any of these 3 episodes. And I'm not freaking kidding about that. It's kind of like Doctor Who Endgame in a way, especially for the classic series. And even has more characters than the 50th had involved. We've got the Doctor, Yaz, Dan, Graham, Kate, Bender, First Doctor, the 5th Doctor, the 6th Doctor, the 7th Doctor, Tegan, Ace, Mel's, Joe, Ian, the Daleks, the Master, the Cyber Lords, Fugitive Doctor, the 14th Doctor, the 8th and fucking bestest, most bestest Doctor, Paul McGann. Literally, this is a huge anniversary special and a huge love letter to the show itself. And the best part is, Chibnall fucking cooked with this finale. The man went out on a huge bang and I respect it. The episode itself, by the way, I really quite liked overall. At first, I was disappointed Chibnall didn't put a satisfying cap on the Timeless Child plotline, but I assume that someday we'll get back to it. And will it be a satisfying payoff? Time will tell. But even though I'm not the biggest fan of this plotline, I am intrigued and I'm glad Davies isn't completely ignoring it so far. But again, this is something we'll have to get back to later. For those of you that decided to skip the power of the Doctor just to watch the 60th, do yourself a favor and watch some peak Doctor Who. Anyways, I've waited way too long to cover these specials, so without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump into the first episode, of course, The Star Beast.
Word of advice. You can wear a suit that tight up to the age of 35, and no further.
Looking back a few months later, I kind of noticed that The Star Beast is actually my least favorite of the 3 Tenet episodes that we got, and the reason why is because right out of the gate from the opening scene, I noticed that this one feels the most rushed. Now, I do like when a Doctor Who story kicks off instantly, but this one in particular just feels so quick for some reason. We get this opening recap, then this reunion with Donna and Tennant, then the introduction to Rose, and then there's a spaceship, the Doctor meets Sean properly and catches a ride, Unit appears, there's a new sonic ability revealed, Cynthia's reintroduced. Whoa, okay, I know what you're thinking, it's Sylvia, not Cynthia, I should know this, I don't know why I kept calling her Cynthia, but I just did, and this part has already been recorded, and I don't want to go back and redo it because I'm lazy, so instead here's a clip from 22 Jump Street.
Cynthia, Jesus died for our Cynthias.
And all this happens in the span of 10 minutes. I truly feel like if this episode would have been about 70 minutes, then we could have so much more time to spend with these characters and properly catch up with them. But luckily, everyone seems to just fit right back into place, and even characters like Sean get a little bit more to do. I'm glad they got this actor back after all these years, and the same goes for Cynthia as well. And even though there is a lot of jumping around this episode, I do like the small comedic moments and fast-moving dialogue. I do think the ball gets rolling once the house begins to get invaded and the Meep is under attack, plus the reunion with Donna and the Doctor happens. By the way, I really do love the new Sonic design, and I love how it's a mix of the last few that we got on the show. Also, I kind of like how the Doctor is able to use it to make 2 small force fields and can even use it to bring up a display for readings. And I'm also not against the new Sonic having such features as well. Later on in the episode, there's a nice callback to the Shadow Proclamation once everyone is in the parking garage, and it may be because I'm not familiar with the original Meep comic, but I didn't see this plot twist coming at all. Also, hats off to Cecilia Faye, by the way. I thought she was fantastic as the Meep. She was able to play it like lovable and friendly and make me buy into it, and then when that switch just hits, I was like, whoa. So good job on her, she really nailed it. I wasn't sure if they'd keep Jodie's exterior TARDIS design, but I'm glad they did. I really like this shade of blue with the yellow window tint. Also, the new interior is growing on me. I think the big issue in the 60th is that it's too white and bright, but it seems like the colors of the lights changed in the shooty era, so especially from what I've seen in the trailers. Overall, I like the Star Beast. I don't love it, but it's definitely a fun time and I enjoyed rewatching it for this video. I just wish that it was a little bit longer than what we got, but overall, you can't go wrong. It's a nice time.
Then I have a problem with the Joel.
Speaking of stories that I really enjoyed, let's move on to episode 2, Wild Blue Yonder. This one really threw me for a loop the first time I watched it, because I was really expecting all 3 of these specials to be one extended story, but looking back, I really appreciate this format Davies approached the 60th. This story was the perfect opportunity for us to get one last adventure with the Doctor and Donna, just like the good old days, and I really adored it for that. I think the little opening at the beginning of the episode with Isaac Newton is cute, and I even think the little joke about how they literally retcon the word gravity into mavity is really hilarious.
You can appreciate
The gravity of the situation.
What was that delightful word? Mavity.
Fun little fact, if you're watching it in the UK and you use iPlayer to watch Doctor Who, they've gone back to even the classic series, and now whenever you watch with subtitles, the word gravity is replaced with the word mavity. I just love little Easter eggs like that, and I hope they never correct it.
Caught in the gravity field.
Caught in the what?
Mavity field.
Also, funny little thought, I bet that one Eminem verse in that song goes a little bit extra hard now, you know? Up there goes mavity, up be so maddening. Yeah, you get it. But back to the episode itself, I just love how creepy this one gets, while also being quite goofy at times. These duplicate creatures are so terrifying, and having them be the villains for this story really makes them stand out. One little thing I have to mention real quick is the layout of the spaceship itself. One of Doctor Who's charms is that sometimes it just looks cheesy no matter how good the budget is. And it's not like the environment here is poorly rendered or doesn't match the tone of the story. I think it fits it really well, actually. It's a staple to be super cheesy at times, so if you're knocking it against that, like full on, that's more so against you. But again, I will always adore this episode for just giving us a little bit more of the Doctor and Donna bantering back and forth, building up a creepy atmosphere, and even giving us these scenes where there's like the duplicates are splitting off and are talking to both the Doctor and Donna. They don't even know it until something happens. It is the chef's kiss. And it makes me love Wild Blue Yonder so much. I could spend days breaking these scenes down about how well they're set up, but I don't have time for that, sadly. I will admit, there's one thing I don't like. It's the ending where the Doctor chooses the wrong Donna instead of the right Donna. I don't know. It just felt like a weird 180 scene, and it felt like they were gonna build on more of that, but he immediately reverses the decision, and I don't know. It didn't work for me. It felt weird.
What's the purpose?
But anyways, and before we get to the giggle, I should have to mention Bernard Cribbins, his final appearance as Wilfred Mott, R.I.P. It was so lovely seeing him interact with the Doctor and Donna again, even for this small brief second. Bernard, wherever you are, I hope you're resting peacefully. Thank you for playing one of the best characters in Doctor Who history. You will be very missed. Alright, and that's pretty much all I have to say about Wild Blue Yonder. It's a fantastic episode, and clearly one of my favorites from the special. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start talking about the final episode in the 60th anniversary trilogy.
Now, someone tell me what the hell is going on here?
The Giggle. Not gonna lie, at the end of the day, I find myself going back and forth quite a bit on this finale, because on one hand, there's a lot that I do enjoy. For one, I think the creepy imagery of Stooky Bill and the introduction scene sets the tone quite well for the rest of the episode. And right out of the gate, we gotta mention the casting of the Celestial Toymaker. I remember back when it was announced in early 2022 that Neil Patrick Harris would be cast in the 60th. I remember there being a lot of heavy rumors going around at the time. Maybe he's the reason that 14 looks like 10. Maybe he's the master pretending to be the Toymaker. Both of these turned out to not be true, by the way. But still, I love the way he's reintroduced. The moment the Doctor locks in and just tells Donna to go back to the TARDIS during the encounter gave me chills every time.
Go back to the TARDIS.
You never tell me to do that.
Oh, but he is recognizing me.
You see, this is why I have so much love for the modern era and new era of Doctor Who especially. It's a show that almost anyone can pick up at any time, even if you're not familiar with the thread at hand. there's a good chance that the audience can pick up on whoever is at the opposite of the Doctor. I have never seen or really looked into the Toymaker or the first Doctor episodes, especially before watching this special, and this one little scene told me literally everything I needed to know for the context of their relationship. And because of how the character is used in the rest of the story, it doesn't require me to pause and do a history lesson. By the way, it's nice to see Kate Stewart is back with Unit again. I remember a lot of people was criticizing the new Unit HQ design for being too much like Avengers Tower. I really don't care. It's a tower where an organization is held, just like all the other towers in major cities, so yeah, this doesn't bother me. Oh, and I of course have to mention Melanie, who is back. I personally have yet to get around to the 6th Doctor era, but I am aware of who she is, and I love whenever classic companions return to the show. It was nice seeing that she was in the ending of The Power of the Doctor, and not only returned for the Giggle, but will also be returning for season 1 judging by the trailers. I do want to take it back for a moment and talk about Neil Patrick Harris playing the Celestial Toymaker. I'm glad they decided to go with this villain as our main baddie in the 60th instead of someone stereotypical like the Master, the Daleks, or Cybermen, considering we just had them an episode ago with 13. Harris's performance is electric, and he commands every scene that he is in. I admire how the episode conveys to the audience that the man likes to play mind games just by the way he's constantly changing his accent and never sticking to only one.
Coming into the warm, it is raining, is it not? All of the water all splishy splashy.
I made a jigsaw out of your history. Did you like it?
Well, that's all right then.
Always leaving you guessing when he's speaking with his real voice. Can we talk about Spice Up Your Life? I want to talk about Spice Up Your Life. Actually, you know what? I have nothing to say. You already know how good this scene is, and if you disagree, you hate fun, and you're wrong, it's just a fact, you're wrong, there's nothing else to it. Okay, here we go. This is the biggest and most controversial thing to happen to Doctor Who since the time was child. Allow me to set the scene. The Doctor confronts the Toymaker and begs for him to use his powers for good, but the Toymaker wants one final game. Because he's already played against 2 Doctors, and because he's already played against 2 Doctors, he wants the final one to be with a 3rd. So the Doctor has been fatally injured and should die. This means he should regenerate into another person. And something happens. Something no one could have predicted.
What?
The Doctor bigenerates from the 14th Doctor to the 15th Doctor, and they both end up playing against the Toymaker together.
But that's cheating. How? It's your game, and you did this. But you doubled us.
If you were watching this episode live like me the day it aired, there's a chance you probably had one of these 2 feelings I'm about to explain. On one hand, this goes against the complete logic of regeneration, simply changing it just for the sake of the script and to compliment the writer and their approach. And listen, I hear you. I'm not gonna sit here and say that you're invalid one bit for thinking this.
I think I'm really me. I am completely me.
But holy shit, for the rest of us, this was satisfying as hell. I'll never forget the chills and goosebumps happening throughout my body whenever this happened. The fact that within an instant, this regeneration story suddenly became a multi-Doctor story within the blink of an eye was freaking insane to me. History has been made here essentially, and let me go ahead and explain why I really don't care about the concept of bigeneration, at least here. All throughout the 60th, there's been one frequent question. Why is David Tennant back as the Doctor? Why has this face returned? And more important, why is it that the Doctor, despite constantly running to save the universe, never stops to slow or settle down? Which, if you've seen the show, you know that he actually has a few times, but I guess Davies just doesn't want to count the pilot. But anyways, and it's very clear this story was set up from the get-go to be a somewhat finale for Tennant's portrayal of the Doctor. And while I don't 100% agree with it, it still doesn't bother me. regeneration as a concept was a way for the classic writers to keep the show going since the beginning and has been its biggest staple aside from the TARDIS ever since. Plus, if I had a nickel for every time the show changed the rules of regeneration and whatnot, I'd probably have enough to afford a subscription to NordVPN. By the way, this video is brought to you by it's actually not, but I thought that would be great. NordVPN, please sponsor me. Anyways, like I said, I don't really care, especially if it's only going to be used this one time. So yeah, you get one. You just get one, that's it. But back to the episode itself, I think 14-15 and the Toymaker playing catch is a nice payoff to the scene where 14 first makes contact with him. Also, who knew that you could film and edit a game of catch to be so thrilling and suspenseful? This had me on the edge of my seat. Side note, I really enjoy this little moment where the Toymaker shines his gold teeth encasing the Master to 15, and 15 just goes, Shurigatwa, you are already so iconic as the Doctor, and I love you, and I can't wait for your seasons.
Who sees a ladder and just hops on? A ladder in the sky, and you thought, yeah, I'll give that a go, babe.
So at the end of the game, the Toymaker loses and is banished from reality. 14 settles with the idea of finally settling down for once in his lives. If I had one complaint, and I'll stand on this criticism, but duplicating the TARDIS is kind of dumb. I mean, it kind of takes away from the fact that he's stepping down from his usual life as the Doctor, so it's like, why are you giving him a TARDIS? Like, I get that you want a way to bring him back, and you guys are probably going to use him at Big Finish at some point, because you guys love using David Tennant over there. I can't stress enough how badly I just don't want there to be any more of 14. The story has a fine ending here. But again, overall, I did enjoy the 60th anniversary specials of Doctor Who. I think that Davies did a fantastic job of finding a way to bring back Tennant for one, I want to say final chapter, and it seems like he's mostly done with the show as well, if what reports are suggesting, which I do hope that is the case. Not that I dislike Tennant, I actually do like Tennant as the Doctor, I've always enjoyed it, and that's why I was excited to see more of him in the special, but I think it's fair to say that every now and again there's a time to hang it up, and I feel like this is the best way to just put a cap on that for as long as we can, and I'm totally fine with that. Sorry this video took fucking forever. I wanted this to actually come up before season 1 premiered, because the plan was I was going to make this, and I was going to talk about the Church on Ruby Road, and I was going to talk about season 1 as a whole. Actually, I wanted to review it week to week, but I'll just go ahead and like spill it and just be honest. The reason I haven't uploaded in almost a year is because I'm not doing so well. I want to say for like the past 3 years I haven't been doing so well, but specifically the last year also I really haven't been doing as well. I work a lot, like a lot. Like I remember, I want to say when I did the Guardians Christmas special, I had mentioned that I was pulling about 6 days a week, and now it's getting to a point where it's like 6.5 to 7 to 7.5, and then you just get 1 day off, and then you get told you're getting 2 days off, and then they call you in and say, actually, we changed our minds, you're getting 1 day off after working that 7.5. But the idea is that I do want to talk about season 1 very soon, considering it just wrapped up, because if you couldn't tell, there is some past tense talking in here, and that's because I started recording this and talking about this months ago, and it just kept getting delayed and pushed back, and I'm kind of iffy, and I don't even know if this is going to be uploaded, but that's really how it is. And if you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate you sticking through it. You're great. I hope you're having a fantastic time. I'm going to work on getting my stuff together, and hopefully I can talk about season 1 very soon. But thank you for watching so much. It really means the world to me. I like the show. I love the show. It's my favorite. And hopefully I can get back to talking about it very soon. Anyways, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You'll see me at some point. I'm usually active on Twitter every now and again, or whatever the hell they want to call it. I still call it Twitter because I'm not insane. But anyways, have a good one. Alex out.